This man has unique online shopping skills for time travel, currency exchange, and fast deliveries. With this talent, he obtained a powerful divine pet and favor from the gods, changing the game in another world. The drama is Campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill. The male protagonist, Tsuyoshi Makuta, stands out among summoned heroes for his unconventional strength obtained through online purchases. While the other three heroes agreed to defeat the Demon King and save the kingdom, Makuta declined due to his lack of combat abilities. He left the palace with money from the king and found an affordable hotel, where he decided to try the online shopping supermarket after evaluating his attributes and skills. Makuta, after purchasing water and bread and putting them in his cart, swiftly acquired the items. He pondered the possibility of utilizing this skill to generate income, ultimately achieving the pinnacle of his existence. Regrettably, circumstances forced him to depart from the nation. Tragically, the ruler implemented a blockade on carriages traveling to neighboring countries, rendering it arduous for citizens to depart. Confronted with this predicament, Makuta resolved to traverse the distance on foot, yet encountered perilous creatures that presented a formidable challenge. In order to ensure his safety, he sought aid from the Adventurers Guild and enlisted the services of a capable team. After careful deliberation, the team captain consented to commence their expedition the following morning. The day following their encounter, the two factions promptly embarked on a voyage to a nearby nation. While having lunch, the performer utilized a gas stove from the prop container, as obtaining one in the alternate realm proved excessively costly. They enjoyed a modest repast consisting of a sandwich and conveniently purchased French onion soup. Although this may have appeared commonplace to contemporary individuals, those hailing from different realms regarded it as divine. Subsequent to their meal, they resumed their expedition. Unexpectedly, a monstrous butterfly materialized, yet Verna and her companions swiftly dealt with the situation. However, the menace was not yet vanquished, as a crimson mountain pig also emerged. After procuring valuable components, they could only consume as much meat as they could, given their lack of storage options. Fortunately, the hero's prop box skill prevents meat wastage. During dinner, the hero made a delicious vegetable stew that left everyone speechless. The team members experienced increased energy and relief from pain after eating the hero's food. Curious, the male protagonist used the appraisal skill and discovered that the food had a buff effect, enhancing physical strength and magic power. Makuta realized the consequences of this and decided to keep a low profile. With 3 days remaining until reaching the neighboring country, the group chose to camp and have dinner. The hero prepared the red pork from before, marinated it with ginger juice, and fried it in the pot. Soon the ginger-roasted pork was finished, its alluring aroma making Werner and the others gobble it up and crave more. When the male protagonist asked about cabbage in the other world, Werner and the others' expressions changed drastically. The hero hurriedly served Fenrir a portion, but it wasn't enough. He had to work hard to make more portions. By the time Fenrir was full, the hero was exhausted. Fenrir admired his cooking skills and decided to sign a contract for delicious food every day. They signed the contract with each other. The male protagonist wanted to give Fenrir a dog name, but he chose Phil. It's worth mentioning that people were shocked to see Phil walking on the road. Werner and others worried about having such a mythical beast around. The neighboring country wouldn't allow the hero to enter the city based on previous records. Fenrir is a destructive force. Phil, the male protagonist, is always causing trouble and has a big appetite. To feed him, the protagonist goes hunting. When Phil hears about this, he immediately catches a green brocade monster for lunch. Since the protagonist can't afford to disintegrate, he asks Verna for help. Verna agrees to treat anything besides meat as a reward. The protagonist cooks a delicious teriyaki wild bird for philosophy. After eating, they continue their journey and reach the neighboring country's border. The soldiers allow them to enter, but Werner warns Makuta that Fenrir's presence will be discovered by the king and nobles. The actor is aware of this too. He made the decision to transform into a wandering merchant, taking the advice of Werner to become a member of both the Merchant Guild and Adventurer Guild. This strategic move would grant him an exemption from city taxes and offer protection against perilous creatures. Suddenly, a nobleman emerged, declaring himself as a representative from the Earl and extending an invitation to the Earl's estate. Phil assisted him by using intimidation tactics on the nobleman. After bidding farewell to Verna, he officially enlisted in the Merchant Guild. The presence of Phil surprised the receptionist, although she maintained a friendly demeanor. The guild was divided into 5 tiers, each offering a greater number of assignments and improved business prospects. Taking into account his position as a traveling entrepreneur, the receptionist proposed commencing at the lowest tier. After registering and obtaining the union card, the actor went to a hotel. When Phil became hungry, he quickly prepared dinner, believing that adding more meat would enhance the rice bowl. The actor checked the supermarket page again and cooked the newly purchased meat with 2 sauces, resulting in a perfect taste. Phil desired another serving after finishing one, expressing satisfaction and a desire for more in the future. The following day, the actor sold the salt and pepper bought from the supermarket to the union, which viewed it as a special item. The union director paid $14 for it, surprising the actor who had only spent 5 copper coins to acquire them. This sale resulted in a substantial profit. The union leader increased the price when he noticed the actor's silence, finalizing the deal at $17. The actor then joined the Adventurer Guild, where adventurers were ranked by levels, with S being the highest and G the lowest. Each level could only take on tasks of their level or 1 level higher. The guild was not responsible for any casualties during tasks. Understanding the situation, the hero accepted the herb collection task and planned to attempt it with Phil the next day. While gathering herbs, the actor skillfully collected the required herbs from a patch of weeds. During lunch, the actor ordered pasta online. Meanwhile, Phil returned with a monster and mentioned that there were others, but he couldn't take them all at once, so he stored them in the forest. On the other hand, the pasta was quickly consumed. Phil felt repulsed by the sight of the rice, but it tasted delicious upon trying. The actor also tasted the food and found life in another world more enjoyable than modern life. Here, he is not a social animal but a wealthy man with his own advantages. After lunch, the male protagonist went to the other side of the forest and saw a pile of prey. Unsure if orcs could eat it, Phil assured him that people in town eat it regularly. After completing their task, they prepared to return to town. Phil disliked the actor's slow pace and offered to carry him, to which the male protagonist initially agreed but later regretted due to the challenging journey back to the city. He warned Phil not to do it again, or he would never taste delicious food again. The male protagonist arrived at the guild, submitted the task, and received the reward. He asked about the monsters and was directed to a window by a shy young lady. The protagonist mentioned the abundance of monsters, and the bearded uncle invited him inside. Surprisingly, there were more monsters than expected. The protagonist requested only the meat and gave the rest to the union. Aware of the time-consuming process of dismantling monsters, he asked his uncle to start with an orc. Reluctantly, the protagonist agreed due to Phil's greediness. Night fell quickly, and the protagonist decided to make a fried pork chop with the orc meat. He sliced and marinated the meat, dipped it in egg liquid, fried it, and topped it with meat sauce. The protagonist struggled to eat the orc meat but was enticed by Phil's enjoyment. The protagonist had no choice but to accept the situation, and surprisingly, the outcome turned out to be enjoyable. The following day, he visited the Adventurers Guild and exchanged the decomposed monster for a sum of 202 gold coins. The value of the coins surprised him. His uncle then explained the market to him, mentioning that magic stones from A-level monsters could also be sold. As they left the guild, the male protagonist noticed that people were paying attention to him. They left the town and set up camp in the evening. To show his gratitude to Phil, the protagonist decided to order takeout from an online supermarket, specifically choosing various fried chicken dishes. The weather was extremely hot, as if it had just come out of the oven. Phil watched with delight as the actor cooked more Kuroge Wagyu beef. Although the portion was small, it was incredibly tender. By the time Phil finished eating and drinking, it was already nighttime. Feeling energized from the hero's food, Phil believed he could defeat the ancient dragon. Upon hearing this, Makuta used the appraisal skill. Phil didn't want to waste time sleeping, so he decided to go hunting in the mountains. Regardless of the monster's level, Phil would capture it as long as it had delicious meat. When the male protagonist woke up, he asked Phil how he was able to use magic. Phil explained that he simply had to imagine using magic in his mind. In summary, it all depended on intuition. The actor imagined a magical fireball as instructed by philosophy. Phil explained that to use magic, one must let the magic flow through the body. He asked the actor to place his hands on himself to feel the magic energy. Makuta understood the need for motivation and diligent practice. Phil expressed frustration with slow progress and suggested direct combat. Phil took the male protagonist to fight goblins in the forest. If Makuta refused, Phil would provoke the goblins to attack him. Makuta was advised to take action. Now the male protagonist had to choose between Lin and Tian Xiangtian. To avoid disappointing Phil, he shouted, increasing aggression. The hero had no choice but to battle. He threw fireballs and hit the pursuing goblins. However, he stumbled and fell, but Phil had placed a protective barrier. The hero seized the opportunity and launched more fireballs, resulting in a significant victory. He ran out of magic and fell to the ground. Phil helped him fight off the remaining goblins. The hero woke up, promoted to level 27 with fire magic skill. Phil found magic stones in the Goblin King that could be sold for money. The male protagonist refused the offer of a meal. He summoned an online supermarket and bought a large box of dessert bread. Phil initially refused, but after eating it, he asked for more. Makuta reminded Phil not to eat too much due to diabetes and tooth decay. Phil said he was protected by the goddess of wind and wasn't worried about diseases or magic. It was ineffective for him, causing the male protagonist to feel envious. He asked God for protection. The next day in a new town, Phil once again became the center of attention. The hero had to go to the bookstore alone to buy a map, but it turned out to be a state secret and not available for sale. He went to the library but returned empty-handed. Unable to cook, he bought skewers and fried pork chops online for philosophy. The hero made himself a pork chop rice bowl and enjoyed it, while Phil eagerly ate. The next day, the hero found a map at the tavern and learned it was bought by someone else. It was now available for a lower price. The hero spotted a golden chance and seized it, only to face ridicule from fellow adventurers at the tavern. To his astonishment, he discovered that the very map he had purchased was being sold at the guild for a mere silver coin, rendering him utterly speechless. Nevertheless, undeterred by this setback, he resolved to embark on a journey to the beach in an alternate realm alongside his companion, Philosophy. In the absence of a fishing rod, Phil ingeniously employed his lightning magic to immobilize the fish dwelling in the lake. Sensing that something was amiss, the hero closely inspected one of the captured fish. After imparting a valuable lesson to Phil, the hero proceeded to amass a collection of other aquatic creatures. Part of it was used for salt-roasted fish and aluminum foil grilled fish, enjoyed with modern beer. The intoxicated actor discovered a slime at his feet, confirming its elasticity and softness. As the slime touched him, the hero's star disappeared. Upon investigation, the hero realized it was a baby slime and decided to care for it. Unsure of what to feed it, the slime surprised him by eating garbage from the table and roadside, being an omnivorous monster. When Stone tried to eat garbage, the hero stopped him, but the slime understood and ate it all. The actor praised the slime for its cleanliness. Phil said the slime had already accepted him as its master and asked him to name it. Since it was a slime, he decided to name it Sway. Speaking of which, if you like it, please give Nini a thumbs up. This is Night Owl Gal, specializing in anime recap and audio light novels. Remember to subscribe to ensure you catch every update. The next day, the hero practiced his new magic, but his lack of qualifications made his stone projectiles weak. Phil suggested practicing in actual combat like last time. The male protagonist agreed and prepared dinner for the two pets. After eating, Sway helped wash the dishes while Phil rested. The male protagonist slept until dawn, while Phil woke up early and looked up at the sky. She woke the hero up and said that Ninlil, the goddess of wind, had sent an oracle. The hero could receive divine protection by offering her desserts from another world. Although it was a castrated version, it could invalidate abnormal conditions as long as the spell was not too strong. The male protagonist lacks the desire to complain due to the goddess' greed. Offering sweets results in blessings, so he agrees. He tells Phil about his new desire for various cakes. The hero sets up an altar and prays. The sweets transform into silver beams and fly into the sky, granting the hero the goddess' blessing. Ninglao blushes with excitement upon receiving the bread and eats it all. To eat more, she secretly contacts the actor for chocolates and prayer. The male protagonist obediently offers sweets for God's protection. After bidding farewell to Ninglao, the hero continues towards the seaside on philosophy. However, Phil not only resembles a dog but also has a dog personality, surprising the actor. To make Phil proficient in magic, the hero is forced to conquer a maze. Since he couldn't refuse, the hero suggested eating first to boost his strength quickly. However, he didn't know the specific benefits of each food, so he decided to try different ones. He left the unfinished portion for Phil and Sway. After eating, the hero's abilities improved by over 20%. Reluctantly, he entered the maze with Phil's encouragement and encountered a slime. Initially hesitant due to Sway, Phil suggested that the slime might be unique. Thus, the three of them killed the slimes on the first level, continued, and encountered a group of aggressive rabbits. The hero couldn't understand why the rabbits attacked with Phil, a powerful beast, by his side. Phil explained this to him. This is the rule of the maze. Once you step into it, you will be regarded as an aggressor and will be attacked indiscriminately. Soon, the three of them arrived at the last floor. Phil pointed out a square ahead where about 10 kobolds used to gather. When the male protagonist looked around, he saw a group of ferocious kobolds in front of him. Makuta thought to himself, I really want to scold you for not practicing martial ethics. Fortunately, Phil cared enough to at least set a barrier for the male protagonist to prevent him from being killed instantly. Seizing the opportunity, Makuta continued to use stone projectiles to attack until only 2 kobolds were left. Bullet, the remaining 2 kobolds, strong and in dire straits, waved their weapons wildly, seeking outside help deep in the cave. But their efforts were in vain and they were beaten out instead. The next second, a huge kobold walked out of the depths of the cave. He was the king of the kobolds and the final boss of this maze. The hero's face changed drastically, and he was dodging wildly while casting magic, but no matter how he used stone bullets, he could not hurt the Dog King. At this critical moment, the final stone bullet attack not only failed to kill the Dog King instantly, but instead angered him. The male protagonist was on the verge of employing additional incantations, but all of a sudden, his magical energy depleted completely. Sway promptly launched an assault on the Dog King by means of an exceedingly potent sulfuric acid bomb, causing it to dissolve. Witnessing Sway emanating a radiant glow, the actor succumbed to unconsciousness. Upon regaining consciousness, he found himself situated outside the labyrinth, with Phil nowhere to be found. The hero inquired about Sway's well-being and embraced him tightly, expressing gratitude for the daring rescue. The actor inspected the control panel and came to the realization that he had been defeated by Sway, who was merely 14 days old. Phil eventually returned and requested the actor's culinary skills, acknowledging that his magical triumphs were attributable to Phil's teachings. Despite his initial reluctance, the hero ultimately consented. Then, he opened the online supermarket, bought eggs and other ingredients, and made a chicken rice with smooth eggs for them. After the big one and the small one devoured it, they urged the hero to have another bowl. After a good meal, the hero asked Phil if he knew Sway could talk. Phil said that Sway did say something, but he couldn't accept the fact that he was called uncle. Hearing this, Sway seemed aggrieved, and the actor directly hugged Sway to comfort her, and complained that Phil was narrow-minded and lost his temper with the baby over such a trivial matter. Phil's expression changed, and he finally compromised and accepted the title of uncle. After they left the maze, Phil took the hero to the forest. It is rumored that there are boss-level two-headed dogs and griffins here. As soon as the actor heard this, he wanted Phil to turn around and leave, but the next second he was blocked by a two-headed dog. Phil asked him to hide aside and face the dog. Despite Phil's successful victory over his opponent, he remained concerned about the potential return of the two-headed dog. This dissatisfaction led him to complain about the situation and urge the actor to cook. The actor, however, suggested checking the barrier instead. Nevertheless, the actor's attitude changed when Sway expressed hunger, and he prepared a meal of dry-roasted black snake for them. Both Phil and Sway enjoyed the meal, leaving the actor with no food except for a sandwich made from leftover ingredients. The following day, Phil discovered a rare birdfish mushroom with remarkable healing properties. Excitedly, he began collecting the mushrooms while Sway joined in, happily eating them. After consuming the mushroom, he started to emit a bright light from his body. Sway gained the incredible ability to create healing potions that could bring the dead back to life. Phil was amazed by Sway's extraordinary skills. They unexpectedly encountered a talkative griffin who challenged Phil to become the leader of their tribe. Despite the griffin's great power, Phil easily defeated it by using a strong gust of wind. With the help of Makuta and Sway, the griffin was revived and restored to its original state. The griffin believed that it would have been defeated solely because Phil had a minor injury. Filled with exhilaration and a sense of accomplishment, he achieved something noteworthy, gained acknowledgement, and ascended to the esteemed position of the tribe's leader. A month later, a lone man and two creatures emerged from the forest, gazing at the vast plains. The hero felt relieved, no longer living a primitive life. The provisions in the item box needed to be disassembled by the Adventurers Guild in town. Phil panicked upon hearing this. While on the path, they witnessed thieves attacking a carriage. The actor promised Phil delicious food in exchange for his help in rescuing them. Without hesitation, Phil joined the fight, causing the thieves to surrender. Grateful, the caravan owner, Lamberto, thanked them and asked to join them for safety in town. They soon arrived in town and the male protagonist went to the Adventurers Guild. He found out that his adventurer status had been revoked for not accepting a mission in a month. After re-registering, he went to the disintegration area and coincidentally met the previous pair of adventurers. Intrigued by Phil, they showed interest in joining him to witness the monsters he had hunted. Together, they marveled at the variety of monsters, some of which were new to them. They learned that these monsters were delicious and asked about the ingredients used in the previous night's fried chicken. The male protagonist explained that it was made from high-level monsters like black snakes, cockatoos, root bardos, and giant chickens and ducks. Such meat was a luxury for ordinary adventurers and not typically consumed. The captain expressed gratitude and promised future assistance if needed. After acquiring the disintegrated meat, the male lead opted to gather herbs to save his life. However, Phil, who is obsessed with fighting, insists on defeating the goblins. After a stalemate, Phil seeks Sway's opinion. Sway eagerly volunteers to go. Seeing this, the male lead reluctantly takes on the task of vanquishing the goblins. Soon, they reach the outskirts of the city, and Sway swiftly kills 3 goblins, leaving the hero feeling guilty and astonished. They cut off the right ear of a goblin as proof of completion, but to their surprise, a large group of goblins appears. Following Phil's command, Sway swiftly dispatches the group, effectively sealing off the goblin lair. Faced with piles of corpses, the male lead worries that they may emit toxic gas and create an underground labyrinth. Phil suggests burning the corpses. The actor hesitated due to the risk of starting a forest fire. However, Sway offered to dissolve the corpses, transforming into a giant slime and quickly eliminating the goblin remains. With Sway's assistance, the actor completed the 3-month upgrade plan in just one day. Returning to the Adventurers Guild with the loot, the actor became the center of attention. Guildmaster William approached him with an urgent message from the palace. The king granted Makuta freedom within the country and protection from interfering nobles. Additionally, William requested the actor's help, promising an immediate upgrade to sea level if he agreed. Reluctantly, the actor accepted the task assigned by Phil, so he accepted the offer. Then, the hero took out some of his treasured S-class monsters and asked the Union to disintegrate. William and others were surprised to see so many S-class monsters. Half of the monsters are A-level, usually leading hundreds of orcs, and their strength is almost S-level. The hero was once again shocked by Phil's strength. At this time, Sway climbed out of the bag and expressed that he also wanted to defeat the enemy as lightly as a young flying dragon. The next day, the actor successfully obtained the sea-level identity card and received a generous reward of 2,000 gold. In addition, there are 2 commission tasks. One is to defeat the metal lizards, and the other is to defeat the blood-horned bulls. Upon hearing the latter, Phil's eyes immediately lit up and he excitedly expressed that this kind of beef was delicious. After coming out of the Adventurers Guild, the hero came to Lamberto's shop. With extra money, he upgraded his gear. First, he planned to buy a backpack and shoes. Instead of online shopping, he chose to buy them in-store to avoid attention at night. At the checkout, Lamberto gifted the items to the hero as a token of gratitude for saving his life. He also hoped the hero would sell him high-level monster furs in the future. The hero accepted gratefully. After leaving the store, the actor treated Phil and Sway to fried snake meat for dinner. Wanting crispy food this time, he took his time frying it. As soon as it was served, they eagerly devoured it. The hero successfully fed the 2 big eaters and finally got to enjoy the delicious food. The crispy texture brought him great satisfaction. As he watched Phil and Sway sleeping together, the actor expressed his emotions, saying that eating tasty food and drinking moonshine wine felt luxurious. The actor's life was quite miserable despite being the master of 2 familiars. He was frequently summoned by them and faced danger due to their rebellious nature. For instance, when they set out to defeat the metal lizard, Phil unexpectedly led the actor into the tiger's den. It was there that the hero realized they were facing a more dangerous mithril lizard, which has the ability to become immune to magic. Just when the hero was concerned about Phil's ability to handle the situation, he witnessed Phil defeating the lizard. Makuta felt a deep emotional connection upon seeing the shining mithril on the ground, sparking a strong desire to create exceptional equipment. However, Phil, who had utmost confidence in their protective barrier, became increasingly annoyed by Makuta's ambitions. As a result, Makuta had to give up their plans and focus on the important task of defeating the powerful Bloodhorn Bull. Wanting a moment of relaxation, the hero considered taking Sway for a leisurely walk, but Sway chose to follow Phil instead. In a clever move, the hero hid the bull in a nearby prop box. During lunchtime, the hero enjoyed a delicious sandwich and a refreshing Coca-Cola. Sway loved the drink and wanted more of it. After eating and drinking, the hero returned to the Adventurers Guild and surprised them with a mithril lizard, an ultra-rare species mentioned in ancient documents. The guildmaster suggested that the lord purchase it and present it to the king along with news of the mithril mines. He promised to negotiate a price of at least 5,000 gold coins. The actor was shocked and considered it a luxurious trouble. The guild leader was about to remind the hero of another task when he saw him produce a bunch of blood-horned bulls. Feeling perplexed, the guild leader questioned his life choices. After leaving the guild, the hero decided to treat Phil and Sway by cooking blood-horn steak with the available ingredients. Phil quickly finished one plate and asked for another, praising its deliciousness. He enjoyed the delicious taste of the sauce as he poured it over the steak. Later, in his room, he made a sacred offering to Ningglyle. Surprisingly, other goddesses found out about it and asked him for protection in return. At first, he was unsure, but the goddesses were not happy with Ningglyle's limited protection. To help him, the goddesses of earth and fire suggested turning him into an unstoppable warrior. Feeling overwhelmed and powerless, he wondered if he could refuse their offer. The goddesses strongly reacted and kindly gave him 2 incredible blessings. The water goddess Luca was sad because the main character didn't have the necessary water attributes to receive blessings for snacks. To solve this problem, the other goddesses encouraged the main character. Makuta came up with a clever idea and asked Luca to give her blessings to Sway instead. To calm the other goddesses, Makuta prayed and sent a box of delicious sweets to the divine realm. The next day, the main character practiced fire and earth magic and noticed a significant increase in power. Sway demonstrated her newfound water magic skills by creating a large water ball and effortlessly cutting through a thick tree trunk with a sharp water blade. File was intrigued by Sway's abilities and wanted to challenge her, but the main character refused, stating that Sway was too young and inexperienced. Undeterred, the main character continued to practice earth magic while File left temporarily. The hero returns with a black snake, which is exactly what Lamberto needs. The next day, the hero gives the black snake to the Adventurers Guild for disintegration. Sway, who was in the bag, expresses hunger and the hero prepares a meal. The hero uses a meat grinder to mix orc and bloodhorned bull meat, adds seasonings, makes patties, fries them, and adds sauce to make hamburger meat. After the meal, the hero tries to wash clothes, but the soap in the other world doesn't make bubbles. The hero decides to buy modern soap online and also thinks of a business plan. The hero orders modern shampoo and takes it to Lamberto's store to discuss business opportunities. Lamberto was worried about finding the perfect gift for his wedding anniversary. He discovered a shampoo that caught his attention and tried it. His wife liked the results, so he considered becoming a distributor for the shampoo. After a conversation, the male protagonist was generously rewarded by the guild leader with 5,800 gold coins. He thought about using the money to fulfill his dream of owning a luxurious bathtub. However, he learned about wyverns attacking a team in the West Grassland. He quickly helped the wounded with recovery potions. The guild leader ordered adventurers above sea level to unite and fight the flying dragon. At this critical moment, Phil approached the hero, expressing a strong desire to join the battle against the airborne creatures and taste dragon meat.
ならばフェンリル殿、どうかこの町を守っていただきたい。はい、わかった。はい。
Soon after, a lone person and a pair of animals emerged from the urban center. Phil, observing the majestic dragons soaring above, recognized a chance to impart the art of hunting to Sway. Commencing their expedition, Phil proceeded to educate Sway on the intricacies of capturing prey, emphasizing the importance of accurate head targeting and strategic wing aiming. Sway swiftly grasped these techniques, and together, Phil and Sway collaborated to vanquish a collective of wyverns. In acknowledgement of their triumphs, the main character thoughtfully prepared croquettes as a heartfelt gesture of gratitude. Upon their return to the Adventurers Guild in the evening, the members felt a sense of relief, as they had been concerned about their well-being. Phil openly explained that their lateness was a result of thoroughly enjoying their meal, especially the delectable schnitzel. The following day, the main character paid a visit to a store that specialized in bathtubs. The shopkeeper presented 3 options: standard, mid-range, and high-end, with the latter 2 offering temperature control features. Not perceiving much disparity between them, the main character opted for a bathtub that fell within the mid-priced range. Observing their appearance, the shopkeeper suggested the possibility of paying in installments, but the main character assured them that they had sufficient funds. Later on, the main character utilized earth magic to construct an enclosed space outside the city, subsequently employing fireball magic to heat the water, thus creating their very own personal hot spring. He relaxed in the hot spring and felt rejuvenated. After taking a bath, he started preparing dinner and decided to cook dragon meat, which is similar to Wagyu beef, to make a dragon meat rice bowl. As he was getting ready, he heard rustling in the bushes and realized that File had returned from a hunt. The sight of an earth dragon made the protagonist agitated, and he wondered why File was hunting more dragons when there were already so many powerful beasts around. File, however, was indifferent and just wanted to have dinner. When File learned that the meal was a dragon meat rice bowl, he reluctantly agreed to take a bath first, enticed by the delicious food. The protagonist ordered grooming supplies for dogs and started by brushing File's fur to remove any loose hair, and then proceeded to give him a bath. File shivered as the water poured over him, his large size making it hard to clean him thoroughly just by pouring. The protagonist had a bright idea and transformed Sway into a shower head, soaking File's entire fur. After applying shampoo and scrubbing carefully, he rinsed File off and magically dried him.
Oh! ベルイケワンじゃないか
Post-dinner, the trio faced reluctance at the Adventurers Guild with the Earth Dragon, due to its precious parts. The guild master advised visiting D-Land City for dragon expertise. Bidding friends farewell, they embarked on their journey to D-Land. This marks the end of Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill, a manga Nini greatly enjoyed. Devoid of the cliched plots about becoming a hero to defeat the Demon King, it's purely about enjoying culinary delights in another world, a very relaxing and enjoyable watch. If you like this anime series explanation, please give Nini a thumbs up and follow for our next encounter.